On November 10, 1775, the Continental Congress authorized a battalion of Marines to be raised. I joined at Tun Tavern to free my country of tyranny. In 1776, we went to the Bahamas to capture supplies for the Army. This was our first landing from the sea. That December, we were with Washington's Army when he crossed the Delaware and fought the Redcoats at Trenton. With these and a few more victories, we won our independence.
Tripoli, by Corporal Vargas of Weapons and Field Training Battalion.
The Barbary pirates were holding our nation hostage by taking our sailors and ships and holding them for ransom. In Congress, the cry went out, millions for defense, not a penny for tribute, so they sent in the Marines. The detachment I was with was commanded by Lieutenant Presley O'Bannon. We marched at the head of a combined army over 500 miles through desert, little water or food. It took us a month to reach Tripoli. When the battle was over and the smoke cleared, the pirates were destroyed and we raised our colors. This was the first time our flag flew over the old world. The victory gave us the second line in our hymn, "To the Shores of Tripoli."
War of 1812, by Sergeant Bentley of Weapons and Field Training Battalion.
The British were treading on our rights as a free nation. So in 1812, we went to war. At first we had a hard road, like when they burned Washington City and at the Battle of Bladensburg, where we held back the British so the rest of the army could get away and not be destroyed. Then there was Fort McHenry, where I saw the flag fly through shot and shell all night long. In the morning, we knew that the British had had enough. In a few months, the war was over and we stayed the United States. And now we have the Star Spangled Banner.
Mexican War, by Sergeant Simonson of Recruit Training Regiment.
We marched with General Winfield Scott's army to capture Mexico City. Along the way, we had to take the fortress of Chapultepec. We formed storming parties and took the pass. After that fight, we were at the front of an army division and marched into Mexico City and occupied the National Palace. This gave us the first line in our hymn, "From the halls of Montezuma."
Civil War, by Staff Sergeant Eustace of Recruit Training Regiment.
darkest time in our nation's history. Our nation was a house divided, and so was our court, pitting brother against brother. I remained with the Union and sailed at the USS Galena, and saw Corporal Mackey perform the acts that got him awarded the Medal of Honor, the first in our Corps' history. I then served in blockading until the end of the war. It took a long time for our nation's wounds to heal, but we were together again, North and South, one nation.
Spanish-American War by Sergeant Newhall of Recruit Training Regiment.
I landed with the 1st Marine Battalion at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, to set up a Navy base. We had been at war with Spain for a few months, and this was our first land battle in Cuba. It was over in a few hours. By the way that they were bringing in equipment, you might think that we would be here for a while. Our battle cry was, "Remember the Maine."
World War I by Sergeant Jones and Sergeant Parris of Recruit Training Regiment.
In August of 1918, I heard that the Marines were looking for a few women to free a man to fight. I wanted to do my bit for my country, so I passed all the tests needed to enlist. May Johnson is the first to join, and there are 304 more of us that have followed in her footsteps. I am proud to be one of the first women to be called a United States Marine.
On the transport over, I wondered what would happen when we got over there. In June of 18, the Germans were making a big push, trying to take Paris. The French were having a hard time, so we got our marching orders. We were advancing to the front when some French officers said to retreat. One of our officers replied, "Retreat hell, we just got here." As we moved up, I could see a small stand of woods that in a few days we'll be calling Hell Woods. Boy, let me tell you, those Germans were tough and they fought hard, but we were tougher. They started to call us devil dogs, which made us proud. They said saved Paris, and I guess we did. And all my life, if I live to be 100, I will never forget Bellow Woods.
Banana Wars by Lance Corporal Crochet of Weapons and Field Training Battalion.
The Marine Brigade was in France while I was in Haiti protecting American interests and lives. They had a real bad bandit problem down there, and it seemed like every few months someone was overthrowing the government. This was a bad place for people to live. We took on the security as well, even created a national police force so they could one day stand on their own. We are doing it here, Marines are doing it in Santo Domingo, Panama, Nicaragua, and other countries in the region. Even though the job down here won't bring us fame or fortune, it is our duty. We are always in keeping with our motto, Semper Fidelis.
World War II by PFC Pierce and Sergeant Ward of Recruit Training Regiment.
1943, the Marines started to enlist women again. I wanted to do my part like my brother, who is in the Marines already. My mom served in the Marines as well in the last war. They bought us into a free, a man to fight, the same as the last war. But now we have so many more jobs to fill. Aircraft armor, crane operator, firefighter, radar operator, parachute rigger, and so many others. As for myself, I am a link trainer instructor. The Commandant General Vandegrift said that with 23,000 women, the Marines are now able to field the 6th Marine Division. Even though we did not get sent overseas, we are still Marines and did our jobs with honor.
Up until Pearl Harbor Day, I was a typewriter for a newspaper in Cleveland, Ohio. I joined the Corps the next day. I had been with the 4th Marine Division since it first shipped out from the States. So far, we have landed on Roar, Namor, Saipan, and now we are on Iwo Jima. We have been told that taking this island will save the lives of thousands of Army Air Force personnel and shorten the war. When the flag went up on Mount Suribachi, it could be seen from the whole island. I saw the first B-29 bomber land on the island, and seeing that made me and my buddies feel great. We still have a long road ahead, but we won't stop until we get to Tokyo.
Korea by Sergeant Scruggs of Recruit Training Regiment.
In June of 1950, our Korean forces crossed over the 38th parallel to invade South Korea. I served with the 1st Brigade that stopped the North Korean army at the banks of the Naktom River. One cold morning at Yeondan-ni, the Chinese rose from the snow and attacked us en masse. Now we had them where we wanted them. They attacked us from every direction. We attacked them in a new direction and hacked our way through the frozen chosen. Our 1st Marine Division destroyed 8 Chinese divisions. General MacArthur said the Marines and Navy had never shined so brightly.
Vietnam by Private Banderas of Recruit Training Regiment.
Vietnam was hot and frustrating. We chased guerrillas through rice paddies, booby traps, and infested villages where we learned the lessons of guerrilla warfare as part of the 1st and 3rd Marine Divisions. We fought the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese regulars in places like Hue City and Khe Sanh. In 8 years of combat, we served with honor and dignity, while 13,000 Marines sacrificed their lives and over 50,000 were wounded in Southeast Asia. While there, we upheld our legacy of valor.
Desert Storm by Staff Sergeant Indiquez of Recruit Training Regiment.
reached the front line of the Kuwait-Iraq borders to repel and destroy the enemy through offensive maneuvers. We were called on to do what we do best, protect those who could not protect themselves. We Marines proved ourselves to be ready to serve in every climate and place. The streets of Kuwait were safely guarded by Marines, and the situation was well in hand.
Aviation Marine by Corporal Russell of Weapons and Field Training Battalion.
Raining death from above on our nation's enemies since 1912. We were there with Alfred Cunningham bombing the Germans in the muddy trenches of World War I. We were there with Rusty Rowell in fabric-covered biplanes fighting Sandino in the jungles of Central America while pioneering the close air support tactics still used today. Over the jungles and atolls of the Pacific, we met and defeated the Japanese in air-to-air combat with Joe Foss and Pappy at Boynton. From the frozen hills of Korea and the rice paddies of Vietnam, we were with Keith McCutcheon writing the book of helicopter operations in blood. We even slipped the Shirley bonds of Earth in space exploration with John Glenn and Charles Bourne. Regardless of the climate and place, or whether it is vertical takeoff or fighter aircraft, our mission is still the same, to support the Marine ground forces so they can be victorious in battle.
Of Naval Health.
From the earliest days of the Corps, whether in training or in the thick of the fight, from sweat-soaked jungle trails to the frozen bridges of Korea, I was always there. When the call went out, I would go through the very gates of hell to get a downed Marine. I bandaged wounds under fire and carried Marines out on my back. I have given my life for a wounded Marine. I am a United States Navy corpsman.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Commanding General of Marine Corps Recruit Depot Parris Island and Eastern Recruiting Region, Brigadier General Walker M. Field. Escorting General Field is Sergeant Major Butto, Marine Corps Recruit Depot and Eastern Recruiting Region, Sergeant Major. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as we render honors to the Commanding General and remain standing for the entrance of the traditional Marine Corps birthday cake. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. On 1 November 1921, the 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps, Lieutenant General John A. Lejeune, directed that a reminder of the honorable service of the Corps be published by every command to all Marines throughout the globe on the birthday of the Corps. Since that date, Marines have continued to distinguish themselves on many battlefields and foreign shores, in war and peace. On this birthday of the Corps, therefore, in recognition of the will of the 13th Commandant, a reminder of the Corps' honorable service is published as follows.
On November 10, 1775, a Corps of Marines was created by a resolution of Continental Congress. Since that date, many thousand men have borne the name Marine. In memory of them, it is fitting that we who are Marines should commemorate the birthday of our Corps by calling to mind the glories of its long and illustrious history. The record of our Corps is one which will bear comparison with that of the most famous military organizations in the world's history. During 90 of the first 146 years of its existence, the Marine Corps has been in action against the nation's foes. From the Battle of Trenton to the Argonne, Marines have won foremost honors in war, and in the long eras of tranquility at home, generation after generation of Marines have grown gray in war in both hemispheres and in every corner of the seven seas, that our country and its citizens might enjoy peace and security. In every battle and skirmish since the birth of our Corps, Marines have acquitted themselves with the greatest distinction, winning new honors on each occasion until the term Marine has come to signify all that is highest in military efficiency and soldierly virtue. This high name of distinction and soldierly repute we who are Marines today have received from those who have preceded us in the Corps. With it, we have also received from them the eternal spirit which has animated our Corps from generation to generation and has been the distinguishing mark of the Marines in every age. So long as that spirit continues to flourish, Marines will be found equal to every emergency in the future as they have been in the past, and the men of our nation will regard us as worthy successors to the long line of illustrious men and women who have served as soldiers of the sea since the founding of our Corps.
The timeless and inspiring message of our 13th Commandant has left its mark in the hearts and minds of all Marines, past and present. By deed and act from Bellawood to the Argonne, from Guadalcanal to Iwo Jima, from Incheon to the Korean Armistice, from the hard fights in Vietnam to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, to the century's longest wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and in hundreds of other places where Marines have distinguished themselves. Marines have continued to epitomize those qualities which are their legacy. The success which the men and women who have earned the title Marine have achieved in combat, and the faith they have borne in peace will endure forever. The Commandant and our many friends have added their hearty praise and congratulations on this, our 247th birthday. At this time, Brigadier General Field will cut our birthday cake. The first piece of cake is given to the oldest Marine present and then passed to the youngest Marine present. The oldest Marine is Colonel Goyette, who was commissioned in the Marine Corps on 16 May 1993. A native of Muscatine, Wisconsin, Colonel Goyette was born on 29 January 1971. For 247 years, our experienced Marines have nurtured and led young Marines to fill our ranks and renew our hope. The oldest Marine passes the piece of cake to the youngest Marine, symbolizing the passing of wisdom, knowledge, and experience, as well as trust and confidence in those who will carry on our Marine Corps traditions in the future. Our youngest Marine is PSC Whiting, who enlisted in the Marine Corps on 10 January 2022. Reported for duty here at Parris Island on 18 August 2022, currently serving with Headquarters and Service Battalion. A native of Vallejo, California, PSC Wyatt was born on 28 June 2004. At this gathering today, there are men and women who have written the history of the Marine Corps with their own sweat and blood. Somewhere in this crowd, you will find a veteran of the Pacific Campaign. Around you also are Marines who fought in Korea and Vietnam. These Marines were not surprised when they learned of the valiant deeds of Marines in Grenada, Panama, Lebanon, Kuwait, Iraq, Afghanistan, or countless others, for they knew the traditions of honor, courage, and commitment, which they held dear, had been passed on and continue to be instilled in each Marine graduating from Parris Island. Always faithful, America can still depend on their leathernecks. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as the colors are retired and remain standing for the playing of Anchors Away and the Marines